Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Royal Dark Knights Haven, and today I'm gonna discuss about the role of CC and the build that is apt to run the CC on the third boss of the Iron Horse raid. So let's get into it by showing you my build. So for my build I'm running a Ravenous and Harmony on it, though instead of Ravenous I could also use a Lullaby or maybe Sweet Dreams, and as a secondary, if not Harmony, because for the perfect sync I could either use Perpetuation. You can see skill Perpetuation is a very good one that's there, so that's also going to be pretty helpful with the status effects. Next, followed up by our mask. That's the exotic mask called the Vial, and that's the best mask to have because of its talent and also its attributes. So 10% status effect, 10% hazard protection, and I'm using a skill duration mode on it because we will be running the Riot Foam Chem Launcher. So the more the duration, the better. And as you all know what the talent is, so that's Toxic Delivery. Status effects also apply a damage over time debuff for 10 seconds. Total damage dealt is equal to 50% of your concussion grenade damage and increased by your status effect attributes. So that's my mask. And for the other pieces, I'm using a 4-piece Eclipse Protocol, starting with my backpack. So it's a very simple gear set to have, and it's easy to procure. You are always going to have one attribute as a skill tier, so it's easy to go for a god roll one with just changing the other stat. So since this is a status effect build, so I'm gonna be heavily using it for status effects only. So my attribute is maxed out status effect, and I'm using skill haste because you need skill haste to get your foams back. So that's there. And the reason I'm using the backpack is also because of its talent called the Symptom Aggravator. So it amplifies all damage that I deal through status effects to targets by 15%. And also, if you can see the 4-piece talent over there, your status effects now spread to kill all enemies within 15 meters and refreshes 50% of the duration. So that's a big bonus. And the 2-piece gives you 15% status effect, while the 3-piece gives you like a 15% skill haste and also a 13% hazard protection. So that's a beast of a stat to have during the third boss run. And my chest piece, as you know, is being targeted towards status effect rerollment, and I'm using a 11.9% skill haste mod on it, and the talent on it is the proliferation. So it increases indirect transmission range from 15 to 20 meters and the refreshment range from 50 to 75. So that's a bonus in hand. And the other one is my gloves that I'm using with 15% status effect. And also the other one that you can see over here is my holster. I could have been inclined towards using status effect, but I just thought having skill haste a little would help in acquiring my foams back quicker, because after a period of time you have to just find a balance between your status effect and also your skill haste. So that's my way to go. And for my knee pads, I'm using Golem. So that's 10% skill haste, sorry, 12% skill haste, 10% status effect, and it's maxed out on armor, of course, because I need the armor that I can get as much as I can. And the reason I'm using Golem is for its branded attribute of 10% status effect. So this piece alone gives me like a 20% status effect on. And to suffice for running 5-piece skill tier, I'm just using my Technician, so that gives me +1 skill tier, so it makes up for my knee pads. And getting down to my first skill, that's gonna be the Riot Foam Chem Launcher, and I've modded it with 10% ensnare duration, and also a +1 ammo, definitely. So as you can see on the stats, that's like 8 ammo on it with 17.4% on the cooldown on the ammo, but the ensnare duration is also 17.8 seconds per shot. So that's gonna give me enough time to just use my shots through and not run out of them before the boss has been killed during any scenario that there is. So that's what it is. And for my second skill, I'm using more of a trap, the shock trap. Uh, the reason that I am using shock trap is because I love to lay it in, just lay the shock traps in so that I can get a wide range of enemies into the trap rather than being focused or having to look towards to shoot my foremat, because that's more easier for me to get them trapped. And because of my uh, gear set, the shock traps attribute is gonna get the other NPCs are gonna get affected by it as well as soon as you kill the one that's currently affected with it. So that's a good way for me. Others might use a blinder firefly or something of that range, or more like a stinger hive, just to have some DPS. But this is my way to go to this part. And for my pistol, I'm just using the backup broomstick, and there is no real reason for it because that's the other alternative that I have, which I'm more inclined to because I like the damage output on it, even though it's just double mag. So that's my build for my CC on the third boss. So now I'll just explain to you how I go about using this build. So let's assume that as soon as we come into through the main door, and the first panel to be lit is the pressure section. So what I do is I just use my shock traps while the guy is just pressing the button up, and then I deploy it in such a way that it's half and half between the turret that you can see on the second floor, the boss's turret, and the door. So what happens is, if I do it this way, it's gonna cover the NPCs coming out from that door, and also the NPCs that are gonna pop up from the door on the top floor. So that way I have a bit of control on all of them, while I use my foam launcher and kind of try and have a aim over here. So if they don't come out from these doors over there, then it means they're gonna come out either from here or from here. So I have a control over them as to like shoot either there or there to keep them under CC, and my teammates can struggle there. So I just rotate through on this panel, following it through to whichever the screen it might be, either the fire or electricity or hazard, as depending on how it flows. And once the 3 phases are done, well, let me just tell you one more thing. Before the 3 phases are done, when you do the first official phase, the boss is gonna pop out. So as soon as you see the doors open up, you just have to shoot the camera. You are not gonna wait for the boss to move out. As soon as you see the doors opening, you gotta shoot it. That way, what happens is the boss gets formed in their place. That gives or buys the time for the guy who's doing the computer there to press it without getting affected, so he can just do his job and then get out of there rather than getting poison and also flame on him. So that's easier for him to escape through, and then you just follow it with DPS, and that's gonna happen for 3 phases because we have to complete 3 phases before we can go and complete cogs. So me and my team, or my group that which complete it with, we call them cogs because that's how we feel like calling them, I guess. So you gotta just align them, those dots, with these circles that you see. So if they're aligned, that means they're gonna cling into place, and that means it's in position to be shot at. But you're not gonna shoot them as soon as one is done. You're gonna wait until all the 3 of them are done. The 3 of them are gonna be in between the spaces that you can see, like red and yellow. So it's gonna be between there, and same way between red and blue and blue and yellow. So once all three of them are in place, that's you can get them in place by turning the walls over there, exactly over top on the second floor. So once all of them are in place, you shoot these dots, the yellow dots that you see, and when the guys are shooting those yellow dots, the role of the CC guy is to quickly make your way onto the top floor, on the very top floor, and if it's not fire on top, that means you can stay on the very third floor. Staying on the third floor gives you the ability of mobility. So what's going to happen is you're going to have a complete circle to turn around with, and an easy look onto anywhere onto the map to shoot your foams or throw your shock traps at and trap the enemies and support your team while they are dealing with the boss and also the lava to be broken out. Once the lava is broken out, the guys come up, they deal with the alphabet section, and during that phase all you're going to be doing is providing support to the guys down through shooting your skills from the third floor. If the third floor is on fire and you're not having enough hazard protection, then it's preferable that you go to the second floor, that's downstairs. So that way you end up running the show in a way, while others are just doing DPS and maybe a tank going around here and there, but one healer as well. So in this phase it's viable to run one healer, one CC and a tank doing the running around on the ground floor for the most part, and the healer is going to tag along with him and try and keep others alive as well, while the CC, as you know, as I've been telling, that's my role over CC, and the DPS guys move along with the phases as it has to. And once we destroy all these three turrets that you can see over here, that's one, so there are going to be three turrets all around. Once all the three of them is destroyed, boss drops down. Most people say keep the boss on the top and then do the DPS, but as far as I'm concerned, or my team is concerned, we like to let him drop down and then foam him in place there, something like that if he drops down there, and then as soon as I've foamed him, I just throw my shock trap all around there, because the tank guy is going to be close to the boss. So I don't want other NPCs to be running up onto the tank, so that's the easiest way is to throw shock traps. That's gonna prevent the NPCs to run in and buying enough time for the tank to have a bit of mobility and just deal with only the boss as much as he can. And as you're just watching over the battle, because you are not gonna be much of help with DPS, so you just keep foaming the boss, looking over his health bar on him, and you can just look under the health bar, you can see your ensnare icon. It's gonna be depleting, and once you see it's like very close to depletion, you have to time your chem in such a way that as soon as it disappears, your shot lands, and that way he's gonna be trapped again. So that's your only job, to trap and trap and trap the boss. If everything goes well, you'll be trapping him at most like 4 times, and in those 4 phases the boss should die. One of the shield guy picks up the key, he goes to one of the chains, he tries to go up to put the key into the computer on the top, while you or 3 other teammates who are there, they just go each on one computer each, wait for the guy to put it on while others are doing DPS, and once the shield guy puts his key in, everyone presses the computers, and that's the end of the third boss. So that's how it should be done. So thank you for watching, and I wish you all good luck.
Inventory.